Imagine a world without the microscopes and beakers of modern science, a world where the mysteries of the universe were not yet understood, where the elements seemed magical, shifting and changing in ways that defied easy explanation. In this world, a peculiar fascination bloomed, the allure of alchemy. Across continents, from the bustling markets of the East to the quiet cloisters of Europe, minds were captivated by the promise of transformation. Picture a dimly lit laboratory, perhaps nestled within a rambling castle or tucked away in a modest attic room. The air hangs heavy with the scent of herbs, sulfur, and the subtle metallic tang of various minerals. Here, the alchemist, often a scholar, a physician, or perhaps even a mystic, toils away, meticulously grinding powders, carefully distilling liquids, and patiently observing the subtle changes in their experiments. Their goal, not mere material gain, though that was certainly a tempting byproduct, but something far grander, the philosopher's stone. The philosopher's stone wasn't just any stone. It was legendary, a mythical substance said to possess the power to transmute base metals like lead into precious gold. But its abilities didn't end there. Some whispered that it held the key to eternal life, granting immortality to its possessor. Others believed it held the power to cure any disease, offering a path to perfect health. This potent elixir of life and transformative power fueled generations of alchemists. Their quest wasn't just a scientific pursuit, it was a spiritual journey, a deep dive into the very nature of existence. Their work, while seemingly fantastical from our modern perspective, wasn't entirely devoid of real-world applications. Along the way, in their relentless pursuit of the impossible, alchemists made significant discoveries. They developed new laboratory techniques, experimented with chemical reactions, and laid the groundwork for many advancements in chemistry and medicine. Consider the development of sophisticated distillation apparatus or the advancements made in metallurgy, all born from the alchemists' tireless experimentation. Think of the quiet determination, the meticulous attention to detail, the countless hours spent observing, measuring, and recording. These were individuals driven by a potent blend of scientific curiosity, spiritual seeking, and perhaps a touch of hopeful ambition. The path was long, often frustrating, filled with failures and disappointments. The philosopher's stone, in its purest form, likely remained elusive, a shimmering ideal at the horizon. Yet, in their tireless pursuit, the alchemists shaped the world we know, leaving behind a legacy far richer than the gold they sought. So, as you drift off to sleep, let your mind wander through those ancient laboratories, those quiet moments of experimentation, and the enduring mystery of the philosopher's stone. Imagine, if you will, the shimmering sands of ancient Egypt. The sun, a molten orb in the vast desert sky, casts long shadows across the land. Picture the Nile, a life-giving ribbon winding its way through the parched earth, carrying secrets as old as time itself. Along its banks, nestled amongst temples and tombs, the earliest whispers of alchemy began. The Egyptians, you see, weren't just building pyramids and painting vibrant murals. They were deeply involved in the transformation of materials, particularly metals. Gold, with its unwavering brilliance, held a special significance. It wasn't just a valuable commodity, it was a symbol of immortality, of the sun's eternal power, and of the soul's journey to the afterlife. The process of working with gold, of shaping it, purifying it, was seen as a reflection of this spiritual journey, a mirroring of the soul's own transformation. They weren't concerned with simply creating beautiful ornaments. The manipulation of metals was, in their minds, a sacred act, a symbolic representation of a deeper, more profound change. Think of the careful, deliberate crafting of amulets, intricate designs meant to protect and guide the deceased on their path to the afterlife. Each hammer blow, each careful polish was a prayer, a step closer to achieving a desired outcome, not just a physical one, but a spiritual one too. Now, let your thoughts drift eastward to the fertile crescent of Mesopotamia. Here, a different civilization blossomed, but their fascination with metals echoed that of the Egyptians. The gleam of copper, the strength of bronze, these weren't just materials for tools and weapons. They held a mystical power in the eyes of the Mesopotamians. Their understanding of the world was interwoven with the belief that the universe operated according to certain fundamental principles, and the transformation of metals seemed to reflect these universal laws. Imagine the alchemists of Mesopotamia, painstakingly studying the behavior of different metals, mixing and heating them, observing the subtle changes in color and texture. They weren't scientists in the modern sense. They were philosophers, priests, and artisans all rolled into one. Their knowledge was passed down through generations, a blend of practical techniques and mystical beliefs, recorded on clay tablets that have survived millennia, whispering their secrets to us even now. They sought to understand the fundamental nature of matter, to unlock its hidden potential. They saw similarities between the processes of smelting metals and the transformations that occurred in the natural world, the sprouting of a seed, the growth of a plant, the changing of the seasons. All these were seen as manifestations of the same underlying forces, the same principles that governed the cosmos. And in their quest to understand and manipulate these forces, they laid the foundations of a tradition that would endure for centuries. So breathe deeply. Let the image of these ancient alchemists fade softly into your mind and drift gently into slumber. The whispers of their ancient craft, the echoes of their wisdom, will remain with you throughout the night. As the whispers of ancient Egypt faded, the torch of alchemy passed westward, carried by the currents of trade and conquest to the shores of Greece and Rome. Imagine, if you will, the bustling marketplaces of Alexandria, a city shimmering with the intellectual energy of 1,000 minds. Here, Greek philosophers, ever curious, began to weave their own threads into the rich tapestry of alchemical knowledge. They saw in the transmutation of metals not just a practical art, but a reflection of the deeper transformations occurring in the cosmos itself. The very act of changing lead into gold became a metaphor for spiritual growth, for the refinement of the soul. One of the earliest voices we hear from this era is that of Zosimos of Panopolis, a figure shrouded in a gentle mist of mystery. His writings, scattered fragments across time, spoke of a profound connection between the material world and the divine. He described elaborate apparatus, strange distillations, and secret processes, all veiled in symbolic language that invites contemplation rather than immediate understanding. Picture him, perhaps, hunched over his alembic, the soft glow of a lamp illuminating his weathered face as he meticulously documented his experiments, each step a prayer, a ritual. His work wasn't just about physical processes, it was about the purification of the spirit, the transformation of the inner self. The alchemists of this era weren't solely interested in creating wealth. They were seeking a kind of enlightenment, a philosophical gold far more precious than any earthly metal. They saw parallels between the creation of gold and the creation of a perfected human being, a soul cleansed of its imperfections, shining with inner light. Following in Zosimos's footsteps, other alchemists continued this exploration, blending Greek philosophy with Egyptian techniques. They delved into the mystical properties of numbers, the symbolic meaning of colors, and the power of celestial influences. Imagine them studying the stars, noting their positions and movements, believing that these heavenly bodies held the key to unlocking the secrets of the earth. The heavens were a mirror, reflecting the inner workings of the alchemist's laboratory, and by extension, the soul itself. We find echoes of their work in the writings of Olympiodorus, another prominent alchemist. His treatises, meticulously crafted, offer glimpses into the sophisticated techniques of the time: sublimation, calcination, distillation. But they also reveal a profound spiritual understanding. For Olympiodorus, alchemy wasn't just about manipulating matter. It was about understanding the fundamental forces that governed both the material and spiritual realms. These Greco-Roman alchemists weren't working in isolation. Their knowledge flowed through networks of scholars and practitioners, exchanged in hushed conversations, shared through cryptic texts passed from hand to hand. Picture them, perhaps, meeting in dimly lit rooms, their voices low as they discussed the latest experiments, the newest interpretations of ancient texts, the subtle nuances of philosophical thought. Each discovery, each failure, was a step on the path towards a deeper understanding, a path that intertwined the material and the spiritual in a beautiful, intricate dance. And so, the alchemical flame continued to burn brightly, its light illuminating the path towards a more profound understanding of the world, both within and without. Let these images of ancient scholars and their quiet pursuits soothe you as you drift off to sleep. The quest for the philosopher's stone. Imagine it. A journey through dusty tomes and bubbling retorts under the pale glow of candlelight. For centuries, alchemists, those early scientists and mystics, dedicated their lives to finding this legendary substance. It wasn't merely a quest for wealth, though the ability to turn lead into gold certainly held its appeal. No, the philosopher's stone represented something far deeper, something far more profound. It symbolized the ultimate perfection. Think of the base metals: lead, iron, copper, dull, ordinary, imperfect. And then the gold, gleaming, unchanging, seemingly eternal. To the alchemist, the transformation of lead into gold wasn't just a chemical reaction. It mirrored a spiritual journey, a refining of the soul. The imperfections, the flaws, the impurities, these were seen as the dross of the human spirit, the anxieties, the fears, the doubts that weighed us down. The process of alchemy, the careful heating, the precise mixing, the patient waiting, this mirrored the arduous process of self-improvement, of striving for enlightenment. Each step was a metaphor, a representation of the internal work needed to achieve true perfection. The alchemist wasn't merely trying to create gold, they were trying to create a perfected version of themselves. And what of immortality? The philosopher's stone was also believed to grant eternal life, a promise whispered in the hushed chambers where these experiments took place. This wasn't a literal immortality, a never-ending physical existence. Instead, it symbolized the transcendence of the limitations of the physical body, the achievement of a state of being beyond the confines of time and decay. It was a symbolic immortality, a legacy of wisdom and understanding, a spiritual immortality that lived on through the works and influence of the alchemist. Imagine the alchemists hunched over their crucibles, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames. They were searching for something far beyond mere riches, something far greater than earthly power. They sought the ultimate expression of balance and harmony, a union of the physical and the spiritual, the mundane and the divine. Their quest was a metaphor for the human yearning for wholeness, for completion, for a state of being free from the imperfections and limitations that we all face. The philosopher's stone, elusive as it was, became a symbol of that enduring aspiration, a potent reminder that the true treasure lies not in material wealth, but in the continuous journey of self-discovery and spiritual growth. Let this image settle in your mind, the quiet pursuit of something greater, a gentle flame burning within the heart of the alchemist. Let it guide you towards your own personal quest for inner peace and quiet contentment. Breathe deeply, and let the sounds of the night lull you into a restful sleep. Now, as the quiet evening settles in, let's drift back through time, to a place where the scent of spices and the murmur of scholars filled the air. We're journeying to the Islamic Golden Age, a period brimming with intellectual curiosity, a time when the world of alchemy flourished. Imagine vast libraries filled with ancient texts, meticulously copied and preserved. These weren't just dusty tomes gathering cobwebs. They were living repositories of knowledge, holding the secrets whispered through generations of alchemists. The Greeks, the Egyptians, even the Chinese, their alchemical traditions all found a welcoming home in this vibrant civilization. Think of bustling cities like Baghdad and Cordoba, centers of learning where scholars from across the globe gathered. They pored over ancient manuscripts, translating the cryptic writings of Hermes Trismegistus and other legendary figures. They weren't just copying, they were interpreting, questioning, and building upon the knowledge they found. This wasn't about simply repeating experiments. It was about understanding the fundamental principles behind the transformations they witnessed. They were seeking not just gold, though that was certainly a part of it, but a deeper understanding of the universe itself. The Islamic alchemists weren't content to simply repeat what had been done before. They brought their own unique perspectives and skills, advancing the field in remarkable ways. They developed new techniques and apparatus, refining the processes of distillation and sublimation. Their understanding of chemistry, though expressed in the language of alchemy, was far more advanced than anything that had come before. They meticulously documented their experiments, leaving behind detailed records that allow us to trace their progress. They understood the importance of precise measurement and careful observation, crucial elements of scientific advancement. Consider Jabir ibn Hayyan, often considered the father of Arab alchemy. His writings, though shrouded in symbolic language, contained practical knowledge that greatly advanced the field. He developed new laboratory techniques, inventing crucibles and alembics that improved the precision of experimental work. He experimented with a vast array of substances, documenting their properties and reactions, laying the groundwork for later chemists. His legacy wasn't just about the pursuit of transmutation. He left behind a body of work that significantly contributed to the development of chemistry as a scientific discipline. And it wasn't just Jabir. Many other alchemists contributed to this rich tapestry of knowledge. Al-Razi, for example, known for his medical and philosophical writings, also made important contributions to alchemy. His work included detailed descriptions of various chemical substances and their properties. These scholars often blended alchemy with medicine and philosophy, seeking a holistic understanding of the world. The pursuit of the philosopher's stone was entwined with the search for health and enlightenment. The quest for a perfect substance reflected a deeper longing for a perfect understanding of the universe. So, as you drift off to sleep, imagine those bustling cities, the quiet concentration of scholars, the clinking of glassware in the laboratory. Picture the faint scent of herbs and minerals mingling with the night air. This legacy of knowledge, carefully preserved and built upon, ultimately flowed outwards, enriching the world of science and shaping the path of discovery for centuries to come. Let the peaceful rhythm of this story lull you into a restful slumber. Sweet dreams.
The quest for immortality wasn't solely about gold. Alchemists, those patient souls toiling in their dimly lit laboratories, also sought an elixir of life, a potion that would grant eternal youth and vitality. Let's imagine the lives they hoped to extend. Picture Ilara, a weaver in 15th century Florence. Her nimble fingers, now showing the first signs of age, would continue to create tapestries of breathtaking beauty. Her designs growing ever more intricate, her skill unmatched for centuries to come. She'd watch her grandchildren grow old, then their children, a living tapestry of generations woven together by her unending life. The aches in her back, the weariness in her eyes, all these would fade, leaving only the pure joy of creation. Imagine old Elias, the wandering scholar, his mind a vast library of forgotten lore. He'd continue his journey, collecting lost texts, deciphering ancient languages, his intellect ever sharp, his thirst for knowledge unquenched by the passage of time. He'd see empires rise and fall, witness the slow unfolding of human history, contributing his own wisdom to the ever-growing stream of human understanding. The weariness of travel, the aches in his bones, would be mere inconveniences, forgotten moments in an endless day. And consider young Thomas, the artist, his brush strokes still tentative but brimming with passion. With the elixir, his talent would blossom fully, his artistic vision unhindered by the limitations of a mortal lifespan. He'd paint 1,000 portraits, each capturing the very essence of the subject, 1,000 landscapes that breathed with the majesty of nature, 1,000 self-portraits revealing the evolution of his soul across the endless centuries. He'd witness the changing styles of art, absorbing them, adapting, innovating, becoming the ultimate master of his craft, a constant evolution across time itself. The frustrations of a young artist learning their craft would melt away into the boundless time he now possessed. Think of the quiet moments, too, the simple pleasures extended, a gentle breeze on the skin, the taste of ripe fruit, the warmth of the sun. These sensations, often taken for granted, would become precious jewels endlessly cherished. Imagine the countless sunsets, each one unique, each one a breathtaking spectacle. The deep conversations that stretched across decades, friendships that deepened beyond measure, the shared joys and sorrows of generations, all unfolding under the boundless canvas of eternity. Even the small, everyday moments, the quiet satisfaction of a job well done, the comforting presence of loved ones, these would all have a weight and meaning that few mortals could ever comprehend. The elixir promised not just longevity, but an intensification of life itself. It wasn't merely an extension of existence, but an enhancement, a deepening, a richer, fuller experience of being. It was the chance to truly savor, to fully appreciate, to live a life without the shadow of impending death hanging over it. It was a promise of endless potential, an endless journey, a life beyond imagining. And as you drift off to sleep, imagine yourself living out that dream, a gentle, unending dream.
Imagine yourself in medieval Europe, a time of towering cathedrals and hushed monasteries, a time when the line between science and magic blurred beautifully. The air hummed with a different kind of energy then, a quiet intensity fueled by faith and a deep yearning to understand the world. And at the heart of this yearning, nestled within dimly lit laboratories and scriptoriums, was alchemy. It wasn't simply about turning lead into gold, though that captivating dream certainly fueled many alchemists. It was a holistic pursuit, a philosophy as much as a science. Think of it as an ancestor to modern chemistry, but woven tightly with threads of spirituality and a profound connection to the natural world. Alchemists saw the universe as a living, breathing entity, imbued with a subtle, almost mystical energy. Picture a lone figure, perhaps a monk in a secluded abbey, meticulously grinding herbs and minerals under the pale light of a candle. He's not just mixing ingredients, he's conducting a sacred ritual, a conversation with the elements. He believes that through careful observation, precise measurements, and, most importantly, a pure heart, he can unlock the hidden secrets of creation. He seeks not only to transform matter, but to transform himself, to achieve a higher state of spiritual understanding. The alchemist's writings are filled with cryptic symbols, enigmatic diagrams, and coded language. This wasn't an attempt to deceive, but rather a reflection of their belief that the true knowledge was best kept hidden, reserved for those with the wisdom and dedication to decipher its meaning. They saw the universe as a complex tapestry, and their symbols represented the intricate threads that bound everything together. Their experiments involved more than just mixing chemicals. They studied the stars, they consulted ancient texts, they meditated on the mysteries of life and death. The process was as important as the outcome. It was a journey of self-discovery, a refining of the soul as much as the substance. They believed that the quest for physical transmutation mirrored the spiritual journey of self-improvement, a striving for inner purity and enlightenment. Consider the symbolism they employed. Gold, often representing spiritual perfection. The philosopher's stone, a mythical substance said to unlock the secrets of immortality and transmutation. The dragon, a symbol of both destruction and transformation. These weren't just arbitrary symbols, they represented profound philosophical concepts carefully woven into the fabric of their work. Their experiments involved more than just mixing chemicals. They studied the stars, they consulted ancient texts, they meditated on the mysteries of life and death. The process was as important as the outcome. It was a journey of self-discovery, a refining of the soul as much as the substance. They believed that the quest for physical transmutation mirrored the spiritual journey of self-improvement, a striving for inner purity and enlightenment. Consider the symbolism they employed. Gold, often representing spiritual perfection. The philosopher's stone, a mythical substance said to unlock the secrets of immortality and transmutation. The dragon, a symbol of both destruction and transformation. These weren't just arbitrary symbols. They represented profound philosophical concepts, carefully woven into the fabric of their work. And so the alchemists labored, generation after generation, their work a blend of meticulous experimentation and profound spiritual reflection. Their legacy isn't just the rudimentary knowledge that contributed to the birth of modern chemistry. It's a reminder of a time when science and spirituality walked hand in hand, when the quest for knowledge was a deeply personal and deeply spiritual undertaking. Breathe in deeply, let this story soothe you, and drift off into a peaceful slumber. Now, as the embers of the fire gently fade, let's drift back to a time of swirling mists and hidden knowledge, a time when alchemy wasn't just about gold, but about healing. We find ourselves in the 16th century, a world where the line between magic and medicine was often blurred. And at the heart of this fascinating period stands Paracelsus, a name whispered with awe and controversy in equal measure. He wasn't born into wealth or privilege, you see. Philippus Aureolus Theophrastus Bombastus von Hohenheim, quite a mouthful, isn't it? Chose the name Paracelsus, meaning greater than Celsus, a bold declaration for a man who challenged the established medical wisdom of his day. He was a restless soul, a wandering physician, constantly traveling, absorbing knowledge from miners, herbalists, and common folk, sources the learned doctors of the universities scorned. You might imagine him, perhaps, in a dimly lit room, surrounded by strange concoctions bubbling in alembics, the air thick with the scent of herbs and minerals. His approach to medicine was radically different. He rejected the ancient Greek texts that dominated medical practice, the humors and the balance of elements. Instead, he focused on observation and experimentation. He believed that disease originated not just within the body, but also from external factors, things we might recognize today as environmental causes. Paracelsus's work wasn't merely philosophical, it was intensely practical. He championed the use of minerals and chemicals in the treatment of illness, a bold move in a time when remedies largely consisted of herbal infusions and bloodletting. He studied the effects of various substances on the human body, meticulously recording his observations and developing new chemical preparations. He meticulously documented the properties of minerals like mercury and antimony, substances previously considered toxic, and found ways to use their properties for healing, carefully managing their dosage and application. This marked the beginning of iatrochemistry, the marriage of chemistry and medicine, a revolutionary approach that would eventually shape the future of pharmacology. Imagine the whispers among the learned doctors, the raised eyebrows, the outright dismissal. They couldn't comprehend his methods, his unconventional sources of knowledge, his seemingly reckless experimentation. Yet his remedies, while sometimes controversial, often proved effective where traditional treatments failed. He treated miners, soldiers, and peasants, those often overlooked by the elite practitioners of the time. He developed new surgical techniques and even experimented with early forms of anesthesia. He wasn't afraid to challenge the status quo. He criticized the established medical schools, the pompous professors entrenched in their ancient texts, and he did so with a fiery passion that bordered on arrogance. This in many ways contributed to his controversial reputation. He alienated many with his outspoken nature and confrontational style. But through it all, he left an undeniable legacy. His emphasis on observation, experimentation, and the chemical basis of medicine fundamentally altered the landscape of medical practice. While some of his methods and theories may seem crude or even dangerous by modern standards, his contributions to the development of modern medicine are undeniable. As you drift off to sleep, remember Paracelsus, the controversial alchemist who dared to challenge convention and, in doing so, helped pave the way for a new era of healing. His restless spirit continues to inspire, even as the centuries gently unfold, just as our story does now, into the quiet night. Now, as the embers of the day fade, let's drift into the fascinating world of alchemical symbolism. Imagine, if you will, a world where images whispered secrets, where a simple circle held the weight of creation, and a serpent devouring its tail spoke of endless cycles. This was the realm of the alchemists, a world painted not just with words, but with a language of pictures, a visual poetry hinting at the profound transformations they sought. Think of the circle, a simple shape, yet in alchemy it represented wholeness, the perfection of the cosmos, the unity of opposites. Sometimes it was split in two, representing the duality inherent in all things, male and female, light and dark, earth and sky. Within this circle you might find a triangle, pointing upwards perhaps, signifying fire, the spirit, the divine spark ascending towards the heavens. Or pointing downwards, representing water, the earthly realm, the grounding force. These weren't just random shapes, they carried the weight of philosophical ideas, reflecting the alchemists' understanding of the universe and their place within it. The serpent, too, held a powerful meaning. The Ouroboros, a serpent eating its tail, symbolized the cyclical nature of existence, the endless dance of creation and destruction, death and rebirth. It was a reminder that all things are interconnected, constantly transforming, never truly ending. This perpetual motion echoed their own work, their endless striving to refine, to perfect, to achieve the elusive philosopher's stone. And then there were the metals, each with its own symbolic significance. Gold, of course, represented perfection, the culmination of the alchemical process, the ultimate achievement. But silver held its own place, a pale reflection of gold, perhaps representing the potential within the base materials, waiting to be refined and perfected. Mercury, quicksilver, elusive and ever-changing, represented the volatile, transformative nature of the alchemical process itself, a constant state of flux and evolution. Each metal, each mineral held a place within the alchemists' symbolic language, adding to the rich tapestry of their visual lexicon. Consider the crucible, that earthen vessel in which the alchemist conducted their experiments. This wasn't simply a container, it was a womb, a space of transformation, a place where base materials were subjected to intense heat and pressure, emerging, hopefully, as something new, something refined, something precious. The flames themselves, dancing and flickering, held symbolic weight, representing the transformative power of fire, the energy driving the alchemical process, the very essence of change itself. The alchemists' drawings weren't haphazard scribbles. They were carefully constructed diagrams, carefully chosen symbols, each bearing layers of meaning, hinting at complex processes and philosophical ideas. Their visual language reflected their attempts to understand the world, not just through observation and experimentation, but through an exploration of the symbolic, the allegorical, the deeply meaningful. So, as you drift off to sleep tonight, let these images linger in your mind, these silent whispers from a world where symbols held the weight of the universe, and a picture could tell 1,000 stories. The alchemist's world was one of constant change, a world reflected in the symbols they used, and in the very process they pursued. Now, breathe deeply. Relax, and allow the gentle rhythm of these images to lull you into a peaceful slumber. Now, as the embers of the day fade, let's drift gently into the world of alchemy. We'll meet some notable figures, from the enigmatic figures of history to those whose stories are still unfolding. Imagine, if you will, the hushed laboratories lit by flickering candlelight, the scent of herbs and minerals hanging heavy in the air. This was the world of the alchemist, a world blending science, philosophy, and a touch of magic. One of the earliest names that whispers through the ages is Jabir ibn Hayyan, often called Geber in the West. His work, shrouded in some mystery, is credited with advancements in distillation and other laboratory techniques. He wasn't just mixing potions, you see. He was developing the very tools that future scientists would use. Picture him meticulously measuring, carefully observing, his notes filled with symbols and diagrams that still fascinate scholars today. He was a meticulous observer of the natural world, laying groundwork for centuries of scientific inquiry. Then there's Paracelsus, a name that rolls off the tongue like a mystical incantation. He lived centuries later, a flamboyant and rebellious figure who challenged the established medical practices of his time. He believed in the power of nature's remedies, using minerals and plants in his treatments. Imagine him, a fiery spirit, arguing with physicians in university halls, passionately advocating for a more holistic approach to healing. He wasn't afraid to experiment, to challenge the conventional wisdom, even if it meant facing criticism. His spirit, though sometimes controversial, pushed the boundaries of knowledge. Moving further along the timeline, we encounter Isaac Newton, a name far more familiar to you. Yes, that Isaac Newton, the man who explained gravity. But even the great Newton, before he delved deeply into physics, spent significant time exploring alchemy. His notebooks, filled with cryptic symbols and alchemic recipes, reveal a different side to this scientific genius. He saw alchemy not merely as a pursuit of gold, but as a search for the fundamental principles that govern the universe. He believed, in his own way, that understanding the secrets of matter was key to understanding the secrets of the cosmos. And the story doesn't end there. Many lesser-known figures, their names lost to the sands of time, quietly contributed to the evolution of chemistry. Think of them patiently working in their dimly lit workshops, experimenting with strange concoctions, meticulously recording their observations. Their contributions, though often overlooked, played a vital role in the scientific revolution. Perhaps their names aren't celebrated in textbooks, but their dedication to understanding the world around them laid the foundation for the science we know today. Even today, elements of alchemic thought persist. The quest for understanding the fundamental building blocks of matter, the drive to transform and improve, these are enduring themes that resonate throughout scientific history. The alchemists, in their own unique way, paved the path for the modern chemist. As you drift off to sleep, remember their stories, their dedication, and their lasting impact on our world. Let their quiet perseverance lull you into a peaceful slumber. Sweet dreams. Now, as the embers of the fire gently fade, let's drift back to a time of swirling potions and cryptic symbols, the world of alchemy. For centuries, alchemists toiled, their laboratories filled with the clinking of glassware and the scent of strange herbs. They sought the philosopher's stone, a legendary substance capable of transmuting base metals into gold, and the elixir of life, promising immortality. Their work wasn't purely about riches and eternal youth, though. They were also deeply involved in understanding the fundamental nature of matter, experimenting with various substances, and developing early techniques in distillation and other chemical processes. But as the centuries turned, a quiet shift began to occur. A new way of thinking, a new approach to understanding the world was emerging. It wasn't a sudden upheaval, but a gradual dawning, a slow and steady change in how people approached the mysteries of the universe. This was the rise of modern chemistry, and it brought with it a different kind of magic, the magic of meticulous observation and rigorous experimentation. Imagine a young scholar, perhaps in a dimly lit university library, poring over detailed notes, meticulously recording observations from experiments. Unlike the alchemists who often relied on secrecy and mystical interpretations, this scholar follows a clear, methodical process. They carefully weigh and measure their ingredients, noting every change in color, temperature, or texture. They repeat their experiments, making sure their results are consistent and reliable. This is the birth of the scientific method, a crucial turning point in the history of science. The work of Robert Boyle, for instance, stands as a landmark. His experiments on gases, documented with incredible precision, began to challenge the existing alchemic theories. He focused on quantifiable results, establishing the relationship between pressure and volume of a gas, a concept we now know as Boyle's law. This shift from qualitative observations to quantitative measurements was transformative. Instead of relying on mystical interpretations, chemists started to use mathematics to describe the behavior of matter. Antoine Lavoisier, another pivotal figure, further solidified this change with his meticulous work on combustion and the conservation of mass. His experiments showed that matter wasn't simply being destroyed during a reaction, but rather transformed. This rigorous approach, emphasizing measurement and repeatable results, completely contrasted the more speculative nature of alchemy. Lavoisier's careful experiments, meticulously recorded, paved the way for the development of the modern periodic table, a cornerstone of chemistry. Slowly, the mystical aura surrounding alchemy began to dissipate. The alchemists' pursuit of the philosopher's stone and elixir of life, though fascinating, was gradually replaced by a more grounded and systematic investigation of the material world. Alchemy's legacy, however, was not erased. Many of the techniques and practices developed by alchemists formed the foundation for modern chemical processes. Their dedication to experimentation, even if guided by different philosophies, laid the groundwork for the scientific revolution. So, while alchemy faded into history, its spirit, the spirit of curiosity and the relentless pursuit of knowledge, lived on, shaping the world of chemistry we know today. And as you drift off to sleep, perhaps you can imagine the echoes of those ancient laboratories blending softly with the advancements of modern science, a continuous narrative of discovery and understanding.
As the alchemists' crucibles grew cold and their furnaces fell silent, their pursuit of the philosopher's stone and the elixir of life might seem to have vanished into the mists of time. But the echoes of their endeavors resonate even now, a gentle hum in the background of our modern world. Alchemy, though dismissed by some as a pseudoscience, left an indelible mark on the very foundations of science and art. Consider the meticulous methods alchemists employed. Their dedication to observation, experimentation, and the detailed recording of their findings laid crucial groundwork for the scientific method. They weren't always successful in their grand goals, of course, but their tireless experimentation with materials, their careful weighing and measuring, their patient study of chemical reactions, these were all essential steps in the long journey towards modern chemistry. Think of it as a quiet, persistent hand guiding the future. Many of the tools and techniques they developed, distillation, filtration, crystallization, are still utilized in laboratories worldwide. They built upon the knowledge passed down through generations, adding their own carefully documented observations. It's as if the quiet whispers of their findings were passed on, a silent conversation between generations of seekers. The alchemists' pursuit of transformation, their yearning to change base metals into gold, is also a reflection of a profound human desire to improve, to refine, to elevate. This drive for transformation, this yearning to create something new and valuable from something ordinary, is mirrored in the scientific endeavor itself. Scientists today, like their alchemical predecessors, are constantly searching for ways to transform the world around them, to find better materials, to develop new technologies, to improve human lives. It's a continuation of the same spirit, though the methods and goals might have evolved. But the influence of alchemy stretches beyond the laboratory. It weaves its way into the threads of artistic expression. The mystical symbolism of alchemy, the intricate imagery of its texts, the potent language of transformation, all captivated the imaginations of artists for centuries. The alchemist's quest for enlightenment and perfection resonates deeply with the artistic impulse to create and innovate. Think of the richly detailed paintings and illuminated manuscripts, often depicting alchemical processes and symbols, visual echoes of a hidden language. Even today, you can find traces of alchemy's symbolic language in contemporary art, literature, and even music. The themes of transformation, the search for hidden knowledge, the pursuit of the perfect blend, these enduring motifs continue to intrigue and inspire artists to explore the mysteries of the human condition. They are a soft, persistent echo in the background of modern creative expression. So, as you drift off to sleep, consider the long, quiet influence of alchemy. It may not have yielded the philosopher's stone, but it left behind a legacy far richer and more enduring, a legacy of careful observation, meticulous experimentation, and the enduring human desire to transform ourselves and the world around us. The echoes of their work are subtle, a gentle whisper on the wind, but they're there, a constant reminder of the enduring power of human curiosity and imagination. Let those quiet echoes lull you into a peaceful slumber.
Now, as the embers of the fire gently fade, let's drift into a tale of enduring mystery, a whisper from the ages, the philosopher's stone. Imagine, if you will, a substance, a legendary object capable of transmuting base metals into gold, a process called alchemy. And not just gold, mind you, but also granting immortality, or so the legends claim. Was it real? A tangible object craved by kings and alchemists for centuries? Or was it something else entirely, a metaphor, a symbol for a deeper truth? The pursuit of the philosopher's stone spanned millennia, weaving its way through the dusty tomes of ancient civilizations and the cluttered laboratories of Renaissance scholars. Think of the countless hours spent, the meticulous experiments conducted, the hopes and perhaps the disappointments that accompanied this quest. Alchemists, often misunderstood figures, were not just mad scientists chasing impossible dreams. Many were deeply learned individuals, skilled in chemistry, medicine, and metallurgy, pushing the boundaries of scientific understanding in their time. Their work, though often couched in symbolic language and esoteric rituals, laid the groundwork for modern chemistry. They were pioneers in their own right, even if their ultimate goal remained elusive. The descriptions of the philosopher's stone varied, as you might imagine, reflecting the different schools of alchemical thought. Sometimes it was depicted as a red powder, sometimes a shimmering liquid, other times a crystalline structure of breathtaking beauty. Each alchemist seemed to have their own vision of this elusive prize, a reflection, perhaps, of their individual understanding of the universe and its hidden workings. They believed that the process of creating the stone wasn't just about transforming matter physically, but also a spiritual transformation, a purification of the soul, a path toward enlightenment. But the question lingers. Was it merely a symbolic representation of self-improvement, a spiritual journey masquerading as a physical process? Could the transmutation of metals refer to the transformation of the human spirit, the refinement of character, the alchemical process of turning lead, our imperfections, into gold, our potential? The symbolic language of alchemy is rich in metaphor, open to multiple interpretations. Some historians argue that the few documented instances of apparent success were likely clever illusions or the result of already existing gold being subtly introduced into the experiment. Others maintain that the alchemists were on the verge of discovering principles of chemistry that would only later be understood and appreciated. The ambiguity surrounding the philosopher's stone is precisely what makes it so compelling. A tantalizing glimpse into a world of magic and science, where the line between the two blurred and became almost indistinguishable. And so, as the night deepens and the stars begin to shimmer, we are left with the enduring mystery. The quest for the philosopher's stone, whether a tangible object or a powerful metaphor, serves as a reminder that the search for knowledge and understanding is a journey without end, a path that leads us to continually question, explore, and, perhaps, discover the gold within ourselves. Let this thought settle gently upon you as you drift off to sleep. Sweet dreams. Imagine, if you will, a time long ago when the line between science and spirituality was blurred, almost invisible. This was the world of alchemy, a world not just of bubbling beakers and strange concoctions, but of profound introspection and a yearning for something more. While alchemists certainly sought to transmute lead into gold, a physical transformation, their true quest often ran deeper, far beyond the material realm. They sought the philosopher's stone, yes, but this wasn't merely a magical rock to create wealth.
For many, the philosopher's stone represented the ultimate transformation, the perfecting of the self, a spiritual enlightenment that shone brighter than any earthly treasure. The process of alchemy became a mirror, reflecting the alchemist's own inner journey. Think of the painstaking work involved, the careful weighing of ingredients, the precise control of temperature, the endless repetition of experiments. These weren't just acts of physical manipulation, they were acts of discipline, of patience, of cultivating a mindful presence. Each step, each failure, each small success chipped away at the rough edges of the alchemist's personality, revealing a more refined, more conscious being. The alchemical process itself, often described through symbolic language, became a metaphor for the human psyche. The base metal, lead, represented the imperfections, the shadow self, the aspects of ourselves we might prefer to ignore. The process of purification, often involving intense heat and careful refinement, mirrored the difficult but necessary work of confronting our flaws and integrating them into a more complete understanding of ourselves. Gold, the ultimate goal, symbolized not just material wealth, but the spiritual gold within, the perfected self, the enlightened consciousness, a state of wholeness and harmony. It represented the integration of opposing forces within, the reconciliation of shadow and light, the achievement of inner peace. Consider the alchemist's writings, filled with cryptic symbols and allegorical language. These weren't simply attempts to hide their secrets. They were attempts to express the inexpressible, to capture the essence of a spiritual experience that transcended the limitations of ordinary language. They used the language of chemistry to speak of the soul, the language of transformation to describe the unfolding of consciousness. The alchemists weren't just manipulating matter, they were manipulating their own minds, their own spirits. Through their relentless pursuit of the philosopher's stone, they embarked on a journey of self-discovery, a quest for meaning in a world often perceived as chaotic and uncertain. Their pursuit was both a scientific endeavor and a spiritual pilgrimage, a testament to the enduring human desire to understand ourselves and our place in the cosmos. And as you drift off to sleep, perhaps you can feel the echoes of their patient, dedicated work, a gentle reminder of the transformative power that lies within each of us. Sleep well.
Now, as the embers of the day fade and the stars begin to glimmer, let's gently unravel some of the mysteries surrounding alchemy. We often picture alchemists as eccentric figures, hunched over bubbling cauldrons, always on the verge of discovering the philosopher's stone, that mythical substance capable of turning lead into gold and granting immortality. And while there's a kernel of truth in the image, the reality is far more nuanced and, perhaps, even more fascinating. The pursuit of transmuting base metals into gold was indeed a significant part of alchemical endeavors. But it wasn't simply about the gold itself. The process, the transformation, was seen as a metaphor for a much deeper spiritual change. Alchemists believed that by manipulating matter, they could also manipulate the spirit, achieving a kind of inner purification and enlightenment. Think of it as a form of symbolic self-improvement, not just a get-rich-quick scheme. So the idea that alchemists were solely driven by greed is a simplification. Their work was often steeped in philosophy, theology, and even astrology. They saw connections between the microcosm, the individual, and the macrocosm, the universe. The transformation of metals mirrored for them the spiritual transformation of the self, a journey of self-discovery and perfection. Another common misconception is that alchemy was entirely unsuccessful. While they didn't achieve the literal transmutation of lead into gold, at least not in the way we understand it today, alchemists made significant contributions to the development of chemistry. Their tireless experimentation, their meticulous record-keeping, and their development of laboratory techniques laid the groundwork for modern chemistry. Think of the alembic, for example, a distillation apparatus still used in laboratories worldwide, a testament to their practical ingenuity. Furthermore, the alchemists' focus on purification, not just of metals but of the spirit, led them to develop various processes for purifying substances, extracting essential oils, and creating medicines. Some of their techniques, though shrouded in mystical language, contributed to advancements in medicine and pharmacology. Many of the methods they developed for separating and purifying chemicals are still relevant in modern chemistry and pharmacy. The search for the elixir of life, another legendary alchemical goal, also reveals a deeper truth. The alchemists weren't just looking for a potion to grant immortality. Instead, they were exploring the concept of health, longevity, and the balance of the body and the soul. Their pursuit, although ultimately unsuccessful in achieving physical immortality as we understand it, fueled research into medicine and the understanding of the human body. So, as you drift off to sleep, remember that alchemy was far more than just a failed attempt at making gold. It was a complex blend of science, philosophy, and spirituality, a testament to human curiosity, and a crucial stepping stone on the path toward modern science and medicine. It was a journey of transformation, both literal and metaphorical, a reflection of humanity's enduring quest for understanding and self-improvement. Let these thoughts settle with you as you ease into a peaceful slumber.
The alchemists, with their curious furnaces and cryptic symbols, are long gone from their medieval laboratories. Yet the whispers of their work, the echoes of their striving, continue to resonate in the quiet hum of modern science. It's a subtle resonance, perhaps, a faint echo in the vast halls of progress, but it's there, woven into the very fabric of our understanding. Consider for a moment the alchemist's relentless pursuit of the philosopher's stone, that legendary substance capable of transmuting base metals into gold. While we know now that such a direct transformation is impossible through the means they employed, their quest wasn't solely about material wealth. It was a metaphor, a yearning for a deeper kind of transformation, a spiritual alchemy, if you will. This striving for inner change, for personal growth and enlightenment, persists today in countless forms. In the self-help movement, in mindfulness practices, in the ongoing human exploration of the mind and spirit. The alchemist's ambition, though misguided in its literal goal, paved a path towards a broader understanding of human potential. Their meticulous experimentation, their dedication to precise observation and careful recording, these are hallmarks of the scientific method that we take for granted today. The alchemists, despite their fantastical beliefs, laid some of the groundwork for modern chemistry. Many of their processes, refined and understood through the lens of modern scientific understanding, remain relevant in various fields. Techniques they developed for separating and purifying substances are still used in chemical engineering and pharmaceuticals. The painstaking work they did with metals and minerals contributed to our understanding of metallurgy and material science. Even the alchemists' symbolic language, often shrouded in mystery and secrecy, continues to fascinate.
The symbols they employed, the intricate diagrams, the cryptic pronouncements, reflect a deep understanding of the interconnectedness of things, a belief in the underlying unity of the universe. This symbolic thinking finds echoes in modern psychology, where archetypes and universal symbols are used to explore the depths of the human psyche. The very act of interpreting their symbols encourages us to look beyond the surface, to seek hidden meanings and deeper connections. Think of the enduring imagery, the serpent eating its tail, representing the cyclical nature of life and rebirth. The balance scales, signifying the delicate equilibrium between opposing forces. The dragon, symbolizing both destruction and transformation. These images, though born from a mystical worldview, continue to inspire artists, writers, and thinkers, prompting us to ponder the ever-changing nature of reality, the constant flux between creation and decay, the eternal dance of opposites. The alchemist's legacy isn't about literal gold. It's about the enduring human quest for knowledge, for transformation, both personal and societal. It's about the continuous refining of our understanding, the persistent striving for a deeper connection with ourselves and the world around us. And as you drift off to sleep, perhaps you can carry with you the quiet whisper of their ambition, a reminder that the search for meaning, the pursuit of understanding, is a journey as enduring as humanity itself. Let the echoes of their work soothe you into a peaceful slumber. As we conclude our journey through the world of alchemy, let the calming rhythm of my voice guide you towards peaceful slumber. The alchemists, those patient seekers of transformation, believed in the profound interconnectedness of all things. They saw the world not as static, but as a river ever-flowing, ever-changing. Imagine with me the slow, steady current of a stream, carrying leaves and pebbles on its gentle journey to the sea. That's the universe, a constant dance of becoming. Think of the humble lead, dull and gray, seemingly without much value. Yet, the alchemist, with tireless dedication and precise technique, envisioned its potential. Not merely to change its outward form, but to unlock its inner essence, to refine it, to reveal the gold hidden within. This wasn't about a literal transmutation always, but a metaphor for the transformative power inherent in the universe and within ourselves. We all carry within us potential, like the gold nestled within the lead. Perhaps it's a hidden talent waiting to be discovered, a dream yearning for expression, or a strength waiting to be revealed. The alchemist's journey was one of self-discovery, a slow, patient process of refinement, of stripping away the unnecessary, revealing the pure essence of the self. The alchemists weren't just working with metals and chemicals, they were working with their own inner landscapes. Their crucibles and retorts became mirrors reflecting their own inner transformations. Each failed experiment, each setback, was a lesson learned, a step closer to understanding the deeper mysteries of existence. And as you drift toward sleep, imagine yourself as an alchemist, patiently tending to the fire within, gently refining your own soul. The rhythmic stirring of the alchemical concoction mirrors the steady rhythm of your breath. Inhale and exhale, a constant cycle of change, of letting go and receiving. The slow bubbling and simmering of the potion, a quiet hum of transformation, a gentle reminder that change is not something to be feared, but embraced. Perhaps you have your own personal alchemical process underway, a period of change and growth in your life. A new job, a new relationship, a new understanding of yourself. Embrace the process, like the patient alchemist, trusting that the gold will eventually emerge. Let go of any anxieties, any fears about the outcome. Feel the weight of your body sinking into your bed, the gentle pressure of the sheets against your skin. Allow the warmth to spread through you, melting away any tension or stress. With each exhale, release any lingering thoughts, anxieties, or worries. Let them float away like smoke from the alchemist's crucible, rising into the night sky. The alchemists, in their pursuit of transformation, sought not only external changes, but also internal enlightenment. Their work was a spiritual journey, a quest for inner peace and understanding. And now, as you drift off to sleep, you too are on a journey inward, a gentle transformation towards peaceful slumber. Sweet dreams.